Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to be going over the PUBG AMA that was on Reddit recently with the PUBG developers. We have over like 11 or 1200 questions submitted from you guys, from the community, from myself, and PUBG's developing team went through and answered a bunch of them. I went and filtered the best questions that I could see that were responded to. So I wanted to go over those with you guys, so to save you, all that sifting time. We've done a couple of these in the past, and I think they've been pretty fun just to hear what some of the community questions have been, and then of course what the producers' answers were. And speaking of producers, so we have Dave Kurd, he's the creative director of PUBG. We have Chris Lynn, he is the senior producer at PUBG Madison. We have Chris Hartman, senior environment artist at PUBG Madison. Nick Kleiman, he's a senior level designer. AJ Lowe, the technical director, and Caleb Zart, the animation director. So let's jump in. All right, first thing is first, let me make sure you guys can see all the questions. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If I scroll down, my camera's not blocking. Okay, cool. Actually, let me see if I can do this real quick. I want to be really careful. I went through and like minimize a whole bunch of duplicate replies and questions. I don't want the page to like refresh and then I lose all my place. It was like literally like 1300 replies I had to go through. Okay, there we go. That's pretty big. I think you guys should be able to see that. Okay, don't mind the stuff back behind me. Okay, all right, let's go. So easy CDome, easy. Let's go through them. So we have here. First question that we're going to go over is from Sianath. I've recognized that name, see him all the time in the PUBG Reddit. And I think he actually stops by the stream every now and then too. Anyway, he says, are you aware that that your game uses damaging audio dynamic range? Basically talking about this game giving players tinnitus from such harsh gunshot sounds. Because people have to have the volume cranked so loud up to hear footsteps and whatnot, and then when a gunshot or explosion happens, it's like freaking World War III in your eardrums. Well, Dave responded to this and said, 100% we have room to improve here. When I first started playing PUBG, the let me listen for footsteps, boom, 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 boom. Too much? Moment jumped me out of my chair. I think every game where sound awareness matters struggles with the I don't want my gunshots to kill my ears, but I also don't want footsteps to sound too artificially fake or boosted is the issue. That's the beauty of it being a persistent free-to-play game. We have time to keep poking at this challenge. And so in other words, they're going to keep on working on it. And he also mentions here at the bottom, I think giving more controls to the player is always a good thing. Cough, cough. Toggle action queuing on, please. For those that don't know, action queuing was introduced about 2 or 3 patches ago. It is game changing for PUBG. You need to go into your settings, your gameplay settings, and turn on action queuing. I have a whole video going over why that's a must do. But anywho, I couldn't agree more with the audio. And if you do find that your audio is tough to listen to on PUBG, I do have a guide that I put out on YouTube, an ultimate PUBG audio guide. But just the TLDR is you can utilize different options like sound lock to limit the maximum decibel that will play out through your through your system. It'll compress it and give it a cap. You can use EQ software like Voice Meter Banana. You can use, like, I have a SteelSeries headset and a Go XLR, so I can control my EQs there and turn down the high frequencies that give you that very like punchy sound. So there's a few things you can do. And feel free to ask me in the comments below for specific information if you have questions about that. All right, moving right along. Oh, it's me. I am CDome. Hey, so I had like 13 questions that I sent, and I did not expect them all to get answered. I just kind of gathered some of the questions from you guys, from the Twitter and YouTube comments, and then some of my own. But we can go through them because apparently Dave decided to answer them all. So told him, of course, that we're loving, we're loving the map. I'm loving Deston so far. Fantastic job. Blah blah blah. Number 1, are we more or less likely to get a new revive system to try out for Deston? And his response to that was, we are thinking hard about revive. Tago has shown us it's something that players can accept. So internally, it's something we are considering. Big if. If we were to implement a global system, it would be a major change to the game. So we've got to make sure we do it right. if we were to try a system like this, it would make sense to debut it in a single map and see how it feels for everyone. So yeah, take what you want from that. I think internally they're already doing other testing, like different metas for Revive, whether it's a super people AED kind of thing, or if it's a bring like your dog tag back to a respawn station. I've gone over a few different options that the community has brought up in previous videos, but I really do think it's something that they're looking at. I wish they would look at it faster. I'm ready for it to be in the game. I think it truly will help. All right, number 2, the airboats have been awesome, but unfortunately their usefulness is limited given the hard controls and lack of cover. Have you guys entertained making them more viable, fast on grass, and adding some defensive measures like armor plates on the side or even a gun turret on the front? His response was, for us, it's a real risk reward vehicle. Insane speed on water, bumpy but viable transportation on land, big juicy sight lines for shooters. On the other hand, you are exposed, so it's tough to maneuver on land. It's loud as hell, confirmed. For us, it's feeling pretty balanced in playtest, but things always shift a little when they're out in the wild. We're going to be monitoring usage rates, larger trends, and adjust accordingly. He makes a good point here. I was talking about this on stream last night, that for the people riding passenger in the airboat, they do have crazy sight lines, easy sight lines to shoot at anything. However, the problem is, for me, is that when you're playing like squads specifically, if you're playing squads and you get an airboat, if there's a team that's ready to shoot at your airboat, like there is zero chance that not one of your players gets knocked from that airboat. That's just not a possibility because it's so open and exposed. And the other problem is that the airboats, like, to really be useful, you have to kind of use in the swamp area or the like outskirts of Ripton, kind of like almost in the Gulf area, and you're not really going to have fights out there. But if you take the airboats along the river that lead to the city of Ripton, which I do numerous times because it's just a fun way to traverse the area, you're in a kill canal. Like, it's very narrow, you don't have a lot of room to maneuver, and it's very obvious where your airboat is going to be if someone hears you coming from far away. It's not like if you're in a car, you might start on the road, you might see a squad and go, shit, I'm gonna jolt off to the land up the hill and take a different route. It's a lot harder to do in an airboat. So I do hope they kind of tweak it a little bit, but it is an insanely fun vehicle. All right, number 3. Always on parachutes have been game-changing and probably should be on every map. Having said that, one thing really holding it back is its lack of player momentum when you sprint, run, and jump off the building. It feels like you float straight down for 10 seconds before you can go forward again, which really limits your movement potential. Any plans to enhance this? Dave said, for sure. Persistent parachute is very much a version 1. We felt it was necessary was a necessary addition to support Deston's verticality, but we wanted to find the fun quickly and gauge interest based on feedback in the feature. We've received a very warm response, so now the team is discussing enhancements, momentum, weapons, penalties for late pulls, etc., and possible integration to other maps. Nothing is decided yet. This is where they can evolve it and kind of keep critiquing it. I would love to see it on every map. The idea of having like a pistol as you're parachuting is actually pretty darn interesting. But if they did that, I feel like you'd almost have to give it some kind of audio cue if someone's floating close to you with a with the parachute, some kind of wind whistle noise when they're flying near you. And then the penalty for late pulls, I didn't really realize this was a thing. You can pull the parachute like literally 2 feet off the ground and take no damage. So that is the way to surprise somebody. If you want to jump down and surprise somebody, just fall right before you hit the ground. Hit F. He pulls the chute. He does a little tuck and roll thing, and then boom, you're good to go. Number 4. When designing the city of Ripton, did you entertain destructible buildings like on Karakin? For sure. Who knows? Maybe it's still on the table. More on this in a second. I think it actually is on the table and coming to a plate near you. Number 5. When flooding the map, was more emphasis put into the water play or underground play at first? I was anticipating a bit of the Karakin tunnels underground city vibes from the trailers. Like, I was really expecting to kind of be playing under some of the buildings that were flooded. That was just kind of vibe I got. He said, yeah, we wanted to have our cake and eat it too. Mostly ankle deep water downtown, as it can be a pain to run across, but then flooded parking garages to loot and use as shortcuts. When watching the streams, I see folks take the long way around the buildings because they haven't learned the underwater shortcuts. This is actually a really good point. A lot of those big, tall buildings have underwater entrances that you can get from one side to the other and not have to run out in the open in the street. So that's going to come a time when people get more familiar and comfortable with the city. But that's a good point. Number 6, do we have a rain and or night mode planned for Deston? For those that don't know, Deston is modeled after Texas, and it's kind of like a hurricane torn city or area. So I think it'd be really cool to have a rain mode on the map, and even cooler if you had like a hurricane mode. He says lots of big weather plans for Deston, including some stuff we haven't done in a PUBG map yet. Can anybody think of that PUBG, that Battlefield 4 map where you had the ship that was out in the ocean, and as the storm progressed, the ship would actually come and crash into the island and like cause like a whole revolution thing? Imagine if stuff like that happened for Deston, dude. That would be lit. That would be lit. Number 7. Now that we have 4 large 8x8 maps, how do you plan to manage map selection, map rotation per region? So we have Tego, Miramar, Erangel, and Deston. He says, that's the rub, ain't it? We need to provide quick matchmaking and not dilute the pool so that you never get so much that you never get your favorite map. The live service team works very hard to try to find that balance. My gut tells me we always keep the big 2, Erangel and Miramar, in rotation, then cycle in the bigger guys, Vikendi, Tego, Deston seasonally, which was interesting to me. I for sure would have guessed Deston is a brand new staple in the PUBG lineup. In my head, Erangel, Miramar, Deston, that's your core 3. Then you have a space for 2 maps to rotate each patch, you know, each month or every 45 days or whatever it is. That's just me. My next 2 questions he wasn't able to answer, and it's unfortunate because I think they're really important ones. A lot of you guys have been echoing them. Questions were specifically about the workshop and the contraband system. For those that don't know, the workshop is PUBG's new crafting system that allows you to craft new and old unobtainium skins. It's actually really well done. Could use a few tweaks. I have a full video, a full guide on the PUBG workshop that came out yesterday or the day before. Go check it out if you have no idea what I'm talking about. But essentially my questions were, what kind of plans do they have to improve it? And given some of my recommendations, he says, no idea. I just make the games. Glad you're digging the workshop. Same as the contraband question. So unfortunately, we couldn't get any concrete answer there. Number 10, the Origin shotguns has been a blast, specifically in burst and full auto. My question is about single fire on the gun, as it's relatively pointless. The main purpose of a slug is to improve accuracy at range and make it more versatile for a close and mid-range weapon. But they purposefully nerfed the weapon by not allowing a 2x or anything bigger on the gun. You can only put a red dot or a hollow. And as you can imagine, it's extremely difficult to hit consistent shots, you know, at 50 to 100 plus meters with a red dot when the gun has a lot of kick and a lot of smoke on the muzzle. So I was saying, hey, are the choices of us given a 3x and a 4x and a canted sight on the Origins on the O12 shotgun? Because if not, in terms of a shotgun, the DBS or a pump shotgun is still going to be the more consistent and safer choice for close range killing. And his answer was it was intended. The O12 is a hybrid. It can do it all, but nothing perfectly. When we had the 2x plus on the O12, this was in their internal playtesting, it started displacing DMRs in playtest. So gnarly, it felt way OP. I think for the novice player, it's filling the turn the corner and full auto melt the guy niche. For experienced players, their recoil control allows the burst mode to do damage at close and near range, and which is true. And for mega awesome streamer monsters, the single shot at distance can be pretty effective. But yeah, if you want a consistent safe at close, the DBS is a better choice. Good scope to mid-range damage, go Mini 14. If you want to be a hybrid madman, go O12. Like everything else, we watch the stuff, data, you know, trending, we may make changes on it. So interested to hear your guys' comments who have actually played with the O12 or have seen it be played with. I know people like Tig, you know, they can get away with a red dot single fire at, you know, 200 meters and consistently doing well with it, but most people are not going to use it in that scenario. And it's unfortunate because being a slug shotgun, something I've always wanted, it would be really, really cheeky to be able to, you know, put just a 3x, just something to give you a little bit more zoom on it to really utilize the slug. And yeah, they could easily nerf it by having damage fall off at range. You know, maybe after 100 meters, it significantly loses its damage, or maybe the bullet velocity significantly slows down, like a crossbow. You know, something like that could be done. And who knows, maybe they will. I would personally like to see like this shotgun go into a crate with a 6x in the crate with it, because it really would be an OP crate weapon at that point. Something that's very dangerous up close and useful in the right hands at mid to long range. Could be kind of cool. All right, number 11. Currently, the secret security rooms provide a very powerful way to get you and your team kitted with level 3 gear and weapons fast in Deston. While I absolutely love this feature, it can be a bit hard to overcome if you weren't lucky enough to find a key card. As a counter to this, have you thought about adding a security siren that can be heard from about 50 meters away, alerting nearby teams that someone has just opened a security room, gaining access to said gear? This would increase the risk-reward aspect of this very powerful feature. For those who, I should preface, who don't know what the heck I'm talking about, I just did an entire, you guessed it, PUBG video on my YouTube channel that you can go watch to get all the secret loot locations here. Secret loot guide, go watch that video. My buddy Froddoyo really helped me out creating a big map that has all the locations of everything you need to know with the drones, the drone rooms, the loot rooms, all that kind of stuff. And this is the video here of the PUBG workshop too, if you go check that out. All right, back to the scheduled programming. Where are we at? Where the fuck I am? Okay, I kind of agree. These rooms are a great way to get geared up. Not as good as crate drops, but safer. Yes, it's still a bit of a pain to find the key or find the drone to search for the key. That early game questing is an opportunity cost. As you're flying the drone around, you aren't looting, right? You are potentially exposed to other players catching you flying the drone. With all that said, I do think longer cast time to open the doors and potentially some kind of alert notification could be a fun addition. Excellent suggestion. He obviously makes a great point too, that when you are flying the drone, you are exposed. You're not looting. You're not getting meds. You're not getting ammo. You're not, you know, all that kind of stuff. So there is a trade-off there, but for me, with how plentiful the keys and the drone rooms are, and for those who have watched my streams, if you jump out of the plane in the very beginning, you can actually land in one of the windows, vault into the window from your parachute, and if you're lucky, there's a security key waiting in that room. You grab the security key and you run immediately to the security room, and within the first 2 minutes of the game, you have a level 3 gear, either a helmet or a vest, and a level 3 weapon. Like, I mean, it's hard to counter that, you know? It's hard to counter that. All right, what's next? In terms of map drops, I'm loving almost all of the POIs. They're very unique and usually pretty well looted and fun areas to fight in. However, I was very hopeful for another fun island drop on the wind farm, and it doesn't seem to really deliver. It feels a bit bland in terms of buildings options and rotation potential. Personally, I would like to see a nice row of 3 to 4 story condominiums on the coast side, given a more excuse me, I'm a freaking throat. Given a more focal point to drop on wind farm in an area to contest. This would also be very realistic because on the Gulf Coast, families that go to vacation there always, you know, they stay in the condos that go across the Gulf Coast. His reply was, goal 1 is to get a few, god dang it, Bobby. Excuse me. me. Goal 1 is to get a few more final circles out there. We've got so many tasty get geared up POIs that he's afraid of adding another POI so close to assembly and concert it might kind of dilute that area in terms of hot drops. Good point, but they are going to be looking at you know, at seeing what kind of changes they can make. But they say they've had some really good final fights in the coastal ruins, but agree it's not the best spot for initial drops. And for those who haven't really fought there, it just my main concern is the buildings are just so spread apart, and they're all like identical 2-story little townhouses, and so it's very hard to like push to a building because there's so much space from each building. It's very obvious when a person or a team is rotating and pushing you. And again, there's no like focal point. The whole island kind of has the same vibe. It would just be nice to get a little variety there. And 13 wasn't a question. It was just a huge thanks to the dev team. So if you guys and gals are watching this video, thank y'all very much. Y'all really knocked it out the park with Deston. I've been thrilled to play it every day that I've gotten on PUBG. So I tried solos last night and had a blast. Duos is a blast. Squads are a blast. I mean, really, I can't say enough. You guys did great. Looking forward to seeing your improvements on the map. So thank you for being so receptive. All right, now on to some more community questions. Over Gazelle says, will this map be added to rank queue in the future? PUBG Chris says, I hope so. Do you all want it ranked? Yes. Everyone said yes. Then Dave said, if the people will it, so it shall be done. AKA, let's see some community sentiment. Are you guys are the ultimate deciders. And a lot of these people said yes. So I would assume it is going to go into ranked, which is interesting because people complain about Tago in ranked. So I'm curious to hear from actual ranked players and pro players if they are vibing with Deston as a ranked map. Question here from Boris Reckoner. Can you please explain why there aren't any gliders on the map released in the last any maps released in the last 4 years? Gliders are one of my favorite features, and all maps would benefit from them, especially Tago and Deston, but also Vikendi. And if someone dies out of bounds and flying, they'll just not make that mistake again. Good points, by the way. I didn't realize it actually had been that long since they made gliders on the map, and they actually just took them out of Sanhok too, ironically. Great question, Dave says. So there are a few things we consider. Map vibe, intended experience. For Deston, they wanted to encourage players to explore vertically and go a little wider than they normally might. So ascenders, cell towers, persistent parachutes, etc. help all facilitate those encounters. We were concerned that gliders added that layer of complexity. Oh, there are guys on my level, guys on top of skyscrapers, and now there are guys in the sky dropping C4 on me. In playtest, it was feeling a little overwhelming. Number 2, but it is an excellent tool for chaos, so we're happy for players to try the glider in Deston Customs. 3, once folks get a better handle on Deston, we'll explore adding some gliders. I'll say, if you watched my recent video about the loot locations, I flew a glider around during that video, and it would be so dang cool to have gliders on Deston, no question. An interesting point, though, is that some of the skyscrapers are so dang tall that when you're up at that height, the air is thinner, and so the glider actually flies slower up there, making you an even easier target to hit. So I'm not sure how OP a glider would be, but I'm always for it. If it's got fun, written next to it, add it. Let's do it. All right, last drop of Deston streets look sterile without graffiti. Unlike real cities, maybe you should organize a graffiti contest, and the best 50 to 100 works will go straight to the streets of Deston. This is actually a really good question, and Dave said, dude, we had so much graffiti. Sadly, it had to go when we were doing performance optimizations. So apparently, they had graffiti already in Deston, but it was using too many resources, so they had to pull it out. But as they continue to tweak and optimize, they might get to a point where we can add it back in. And I didn't even think about that, honestly. I mean, I'd live like 10 minutes from New Orleans, and there's a ton of graffiti around the city. It makes perfect sense. There's also a ton of rats and shit and piss everywhere, but how realistic do you want to be? Here we go. Mac the Oreo boy really likes his cookies. He says, I'm curious to know what were some of the obstacles you face when implementing new gameplay features like always on parachutes and the ascenders. Also, what kind of features do you guys experiment with that didn't make the cut because it didn't fit the theme or technical limits, or just plain out there crazy? PUBG AJ says, it's a challenge to keep the map performance when adding interactive objects like ascenders, gas pumps, locked doors, etc. PUBG uses a destructive map bake process that interactively decides what optimization to perform on a per object basis. This guy's talking way over my head. Let me just kind of see if I can break it down for everyone. Program relies on hierarchy says like this, and locked doors might have a child's object. Like, look at this guy is going all in. I appreciate the goddamn in-depth response here, AJ, but sheesh. It's a lot of code to write. As far as something more complicated first impressions. Oh, elevators. Moving platforms are already weird, but contending for players to jump, carry, drop other players, or loot, getting stuck under it, etc. There's a lot of edge cases to consider that work to convince us to send it. So apparently they must have tried elevators too. Interesting. Yo, AJ, thank you for the response, man. Holy shit, that one's way over my head. I'm definitely not informed enough to absorb that one. Precious says, will Deston always be in the map pool? Do you guys have nerf or buff to the O12? Let's go one by one. Will it be in the map pool? I think we always will try to keep the big two, Erangel, Miramar, available, and then cycle out the other ones. The O12, we answered that. Will we see the new map in esports and tournaments? Signs point to yes. Fuel pump idea is good. Any plan to add it to other maps? I'm glad you're digging them, but Deston skyscrapers belong to Deston. We might share the odd trailer or shack from Haven. I think he didn't get that. Oh, he must have missed that one. I'm sure most people love the new buildings. Okay, so no, the buildings are staying the same. Pumps are probably not going to be used. Oh, here's a little hint at upcoming feature. Deployable shield in an upcoming update was teased on a previous YouTube trailer for Deston, and he says define soon. I think the deployable shield is coming out in update 18.3 or 19.1, whichever they call that, whatever the next update is, along with the MP9, the new SMG, and the food truck. Lastly, are we getting faster blue zones for the new map, since I always see more than 25 people alive in phase 5 or 6? We are looking at blue zones. I think they're a little too forgiving early and mid game. BR is a 5-year-old genre. People should know the blue zone is scary by now. Yes. Yeah, agreed. There are always way too many people in the blue zone, especially on Deston, but just in general. Let's do something about this, like add blue zone jammer backpacks. The Gudo DH says the Ascender is a very cool addition to the game. I would just like it to be a little louder. I think that's actually a bug, and it should have been fixed since last night. Way too silent. My question, do you have plans on adding the Ascender to Erangel and Miramar? Buildings, okay. We are keeping an eye on the Ascender feedback as we move forward. Thank you. As far as adding it to other maps, it is certainly not out of the question. It was developed with dev ease of use in mind. For that reason, I would love to see it in other maps. I think, man, it's so easy to camp a rooftop, especially with the squad. I'm afraid of making the Ascender a little louder tilts the advantage further to the high ground. It's all based on community feedback and usage. If we see you interacting with the feature, it opens the door for that feature to spread. It is very funny catching someone coming up the Ascender though. Like if you see them running up to the Ascender, as soon as they click on, you're just like, you're mine. Like they come up, and you're just like, all right, I got you, buddy. I've done it a couple of times, man. All right, are you Cyan enough again? Says, are you planning on reversing the changes that disallow you to carry tactical gear in the tactical pack? Good question. As a designer and player, I think it would put the tac pack right in the sweet spot of making people unsure if it's a must-loot item. That generates interesting discussions. However, data really suggests allowing tactical gear in the tactical pack is too powerful, always subject to change in the future. You know, I really do have to agree with AJ. I think ultimately you probably could add that feature back to the tactical pack and just remove the possibility for EMT gear to go in there, because that was really the one that was like too powerful. The drone is cheeky, but it's not really like, you're not going to turn the tides of a fight with a drone, you know? What's the other tactical gears? The spotter scope, you're not turning the tides of the fight. But EMT gear, reviving, you know, resing your teammate in 3 seconds, healing yourself in 3 seconds, like that is tide game changing. Okay, ASJ, ASJ Sapphics, hey. Compared to other existing maps, Deston is one of the first that feels like it truly immerses you in the world. IMO. Thanks to thoughtful and realistic level environment design and a large variety of terrain building types. Even despite that variety, the map still performs impressively well in terms of FPS, even in dense areas like Ripton. Were there any issues that arose in regards to balancing the map's variety of performance or compromises? Unrelated, the airboat's a ton of fun. Minor oddities like not being able to use handguns as a driver. Yeah, that is a bug, and no horn or radio. Agreed, bug. Are we going to make those changes? It'd also be nice to see a few more water-based connections to the map. I totally agree. I was just talking about this in my other question, is that there's only like 2 main waterways, and then the big, you know, swamp in the ocean or the Gulf. So yeah, it does need to be a little bit more watery, or make it go across land more easily. Good question, Sapphics. PUBG Curd Stuff says, thanks for the art, storytelling, love. Chris and Nick both joining us from the AMA can speak more on that effort. The goal is to squeeze as much variety as possible while protecting performance. If you turn around when driving the airboat, you can see a huge boombox taped on the fan. Yes, I want that thing to play music when you are tearing through the bayou. Oh, on the this isn't practical, we have a bigger, oh, gotcha. This would be a GTA style radio station with a VO talent and licensed music. Yeah, no DMCA shit, Dave. Okay, we ain't got time for that. Trying to run a channel here. AJ also replied, stages of the development include a significant push for polish. I often find them quite so a lot we had aimed for to make them Deston. At the end of the day, some things just couldn't fit. We had to make sacrifices to art details like mesh counts, material counts, and texture reses. I believe we wanted to use twice as many ground textures for Deston, but had to cut it in half in order to ship. Dang, twice as many. Whoa. Chris said a lot of issues came up. Reality, or really, it all came down to performance. I love the diversity of our biomes, and I'm very happy with the results, but the performance was a bit of a battle in the end. I think the biggest compromise on the terrain side was the mountains, and we had a second color on the terrain to add some variety. We had to cut that second color and a second mud material that had some rubble in it for performance. Ultimately, those were for the sake of art and didn't offer different grass types or gameplay, so they were easier cuts. You know, that's interesting, like, to hear from a developer standpoint how much different the map might have actually looked if you think about, like, twice the texture count and like a variety of different, you know, ground rock material stuff just to give it a different art look. It's it'd be interesting to see if they could show off some like photos or little fly throughs of what it could have looked like back in the day. And yeah, also, man, if they already had to cut half of that, I wonder if they had to cut that for PC or a console or both, you know? Interesting. Ransom Barefoot says, Deston is a huge map like Miramar, but I wish Miramar had more circles ending in the cool outline areas like Prison. Will Deston, Deston, feature more final circles on the edge of the map? Linception says, circle locations and circle blue zone speed are 2 of the items on our radar for right now. For sure, we are talking about these internally. Nick said, we are looking into when the final circles are ending and how they are spaced so nothing is off the table. Dave chimes in, I'm hoping if the community enjoys cell towers and persistent parachutes, we can sprinkle them into our other big maps, which allow us to get a little crazier with edge circles, baby. I would love to see cell towers and persistent parachutes on every map, genuinely. There's zero downside, I think. Metals GDL says, love the new map. Probably one of the best I've seen. My question is this: is there a glorious swamp? Wait, I see that there's a glorious swamp in the new map. Is there a potential to add alligators to said swamp? I've seen chickens added to a map before on Tego Fuego. You can actually shoot the chickens. Even though they are not as predatory as gators. Careful, roosters will fuck you up, man. Chris says, I would love to see alligators and other wildlife in the map. It adds a lot to the environments and can really bring them to life. I don't know if it's something they can or will add to Deston, but always looking to get something like that of the maps. Dave says, we do have an airboat called Gator Chaser. The airboat is called Gator Chaser. So I wonder if it's one of those things they tried gators and like, we don't have time to finish it. Took them out, you know? Okay. Oh, Blitz5. Hey, what's up, Blitz? My boy Blitz says, since this was such a big undertaking development-wise, would you say it was destiny? Do you consider it sort of like a child? Maybe Destiny's child? All right, that's enough for Blitz. Okay. With that being said, my real question is, with Destination, like Ripton and its size, how much discussion goes into where the city is placed on the map? For example, I initially thought Ripton would be best placed smack dab in the middle, so players are more likely in the first zone and ultimately have more time to explore, loot, zipline, and fight. But on the other hand, I'm guessing you don't want too many players to land there because the rest of the map would feel empty. Love hearing insight into decisions like this. Cheers and congrats on the great map. Blitz, good point. Linception says, so now I need to listen to Say My Name and Survivor a few times today. Great question and something that Nick can answer better. How can we design a bunch of locations have a non-central main cities part of that with speckling in minor cities and unique points of interest, concert lot? Yeah, I think I agree with Lynn here. Let me see what Nick says. Main focus of the map is great player choice. Give many unique engaging locations that have potential to be a hot drop regardless of the plane path. Not placing Ripton was part of the process. We wanted to give something for everyone's play style. It's not easy to do, but I felt like we found a great, I agree with Nick and Lynn here. I think Ripton in the city, like on the initial thought, it's like, oh duh, yeah, put Ripton in the middle. But actually, no, you don't really want that. Like you want to give players a reason to go and like go to these different areas, because almost every plane almost goes over the center of the map, because and that would make it kind of like a no-brainer. Like you can always go to Ripton, but right now with it being kind of on the side, sometimes a plane may go 2,000 meters away from the circle, which really says, yeah, Ripton's not really on the menu for this drop. Maybe next drop. It kind of adds a little variety to it. I like that. PUBG Chris is going to be it for me now. Aside from, okay, so I guess he took off during this part of the other questions. Thanks, Chris. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, buddy. How do you create the maps? Do you go on location or see footage of different places and base it off those? Oh, this is not here, Tay Fip. I know Deston is Texas based, so interested to know how you went about figuring all the different areas. Chris says, he's back. Welcome back, Chris. For Deston, I was given a location and a setting to base the map off of. From there, went and found a lot of reference images, key pictures, major biomes, etc. Looking at a lot of online, probably Google images and whatnot. Try to shrink down Texas and its surroundings to show off how diverse it is. I don't know how successful that would be if we physically went to one part of Texas. So it really just comes down to a lot of reference gathering, picking out key parts, national and state parks in the USA. Yeah, I think they did a great job, man. Like, obviously, it's not like a pick out. It's not like a city of Texas that they copy and pasted. It's like it gives a Texas vibe, a southern coast vibe. And being from Louisiana, I can attest to that, and I think they did a great job with it. You did a fantastic job. Deston is beautiful and varied and pretty realistic to the wider reality of that area. Bravo, says Blake Jones 78. AJ says, kudos to art. Get out my face. Making something look like Texas is difficult. It's so big, it looks like everything, but still distinctly Texas. LOL. Hybrid Havoc says, have there been any work on or discussion surrounding a single player campaign experience for PUBG? And if so, what do you think that would look like? Dave says, oh, hell yeah, brother. We all have nothing to do but make and talk about red zones in PUBG. So for sure, what is this world like outside of the battlegrounds? And what would it be like really to be thrown into one? Question gets asked a lot. No current plans to develop this, but it's something we care deeply about, have discussed internally. I think we've got an interesting world, and it's rich with storytelling opportunities. There's been hints of a single-player PUBG game for a while, specifically PUBG Cowboy. I think that's going to be the closest adaptation to what that person was asking. Gliders into Deston, maybe. I think we covered that question already. Where did the name Deston come from? PUBG held an internal contest to name the map. Everyone was able to submit ideas. Interesting. What are some challenges? So he only answered this. Are there any hidden areas or Easter eggs that we should keep an eye out? No spoilers, just yes or no would be great. Easter eggs always. So keep looking, keep searching. Froddoyo. Hey, look, it's Froddoyo. This is the guy that gave us the map that we needed to make the video. Froddoyo put together the map that I use in this video, how to find and unlock all the secret Deston loot stuff. Shout out Froddoyo. Streamer on Twitch, by the way. Go check him out. With the addition of the drone, was it planned all along to be used as a looting feature in Deston? Or was it something you guys geniusly, is that how you spell geniusly, took advantage of after adding the drone? Edit. Also, don't put me in the giveaway. I'm a partner and I'm already gotten some goodies. Other people can have it. Fuck that. Hey, I put me in the giveaway. I want some goddamn G-Coin. Okay? Hell out of here, Mr. Humble Froddoyo. Lynn says it was on the table for some time and really took off once we saw the cool things players were doing with the drone at its launch. Props to PUBG Nick and company. They really got creative with the drone rooms in Deston. They had like 30 plus more locations in mind, but needed to ship the map. Wow, I wonder if they're going to add any. What's kind of interesting, I didn't think about this until just now, If y'all remember the Kiki teaser image, oh, that's probably not gonna give me what I want, huh? PUBG Kiki. Let me just see. This might be it. Hey, it's me. PUBG Kiki. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. I just want to pull up a picture. No, it's an old one, like the old teaser art picture. Dang it, it's probably not going to come up easily, and I don't know where it's. Ah, here it is. Yes, it is. Right here. I think. I don't think. I wonder if they were like trying to implement this guy into the. This is what Kiki / Deston was kind of the art style was, and actually this building is in Deston, ironically enough. I wonder if this little guy was like their drone picker upper that they were thinking about adding for this map, and instead they just used the drone that they have now, or maybe that was like an autonomous drone that flew around. But just something that kind of popped in my head. Okay. Sianath again says, what is the rationale behind some skyscrapers having such detailed roofs but no loot? What gives? Curd stuff. Mr. Day says, well, we don't want to encourage every roof being viable as a camp spot, so no loot, but we also don't want it to look too janky, so we need a little set dress. Sorry if we debated you. You know, I do wish every rooftop had loot, though. I do. That might be a little OP, because if you drop on the high roof and you get a gun, you shoot down, you just kill people, but also, like, there's not gonna be that much loot up there. You can't stay up there forever, you know. I don't know. I'm kind of here nor there on that. Desher, y'all still with me? How long is this video? 42 minutes. Holy cow, y'all gonna kill me. Desher says, hey, I really like you are constantly experimenting and adding new interesting mechanics in PUBG. One of them was the airplane in the labs mode. I really like it and was wondering if there are any plans to develop air transport in the future. Maybe a new plane or some mechanics related to them. I don't think we'll be satisfied until we play tested every form of realistic transportation possible. The real question is, does it make PUBG more PUBG? If that's a yes, you'll see those vehicles in the future. I want freaking helicopters. Boros Reckoner again is somewhat black zones and breakable walls in Karakin. AJ says, unlikely for old maps to receive these features, but they're always fair game to add to the new maps. A number of production considerations to make up for supporting destruction, as you mentioned, including map setup and support, modeling, etc., etc. If the map's design vision requires it, we do it. I would love to remove red zones, add black zones to every map. That's what I would love. Boris had another follow-up question. He says, totally, we can agree PUBG hit on some special right way, but retain that spark while evolving alongside the rest of the industry can be extremely difficult. We have fans that never want the game to change, and others would love for it to incorporate all of their favorite features from other games. We take a fairly conservative approach to messing with the past, which is why new maps and modes are placed for experimentation and trying new things. Massive Passion says, when will they put more cars into Deston and the patrol car, the police car? Nick says, we're looking into increasing vehicle spawn rates. Patrol car, I believe, is coming with 18.3 or 19.1, whichever the next update is labeled as, which will be late August or early September. NYD Nugs says, this one's for Nick. What's your thought process when making a bathroom, and what's the lore for the lack of toilet paper in PUBG? Nick says, bathrooms are key to making a building feel real and lived in, because we all gotta go potty. As for the lack of toilet paper, we all know that toilet paper is the first thing to be stockpiled when things go sideways. That's actually funny. That's funny. How much it takes you to build this Deston map, says Taki. Chris won't go into specifics, but it's over a year for their team size to make Deston. Interesting. Over a year. What's your favorite weapon in PUBG, says Future Ben 7700. I'm all over the place. I can't pick between an M24 or Kar 98 for my sniper and the Ace or M416 for my rifle. Lynn says the VSS. He likes running EMT bag as a secondary, VSS extended mag, and don't forget the canted sight. Hell yeah, brother. PUBG AJ says S1897 pump shotgun, point and shoot. Gets the edge by making sure the first shot causes damage. Does it ever, AJ? M24, I can't hit shots with it. Shotguns, it's just, I mean, point and that's it. That is it. All right. Karma says, hi devs, really enjoying the new map. It's easily my top 3 next to Tego and Erangel. Anyway, something I like to see is more hostile entities. Have you guys ever had some sort of plan like this? Were the issues ran into implementing them, or is it too much of the engine to handle? AJ says, PUBG's always pushing the limits of its platform constraints. Given 100 players on an 8x8 map, we have a constant focus on optimization. Certain things, however, there are clever ways to optimize. Okay. So it's likely we'll see more implementations of wildlife. Oh, I kind of thought he was talking about more players, like more than 100 players. So interesting. It's likely we'll see more implementations of wildlife in the future. Okay, there you go. Black Magic says, love the different biomes and locations in the single map, but the map seems to have even more noticeable downtime when compared to Miramar around mid-game. Had some chat with friends. I think it's due to increased loot and number plus size of buildings, which makes it easier for players to stay in one spot longer. This is true. The buildings are bigger, and there's like 4 times the amount of rooms in each building. That's true. I agree. But there's also more stuff to do. You know, like the drone stuff, the airboat messing around the cell towers. There's just, I don't know, kind of more stuff to keep you busy. Chris says, a lot of work, but I think it was worth having the different biomes. Agree. Nick says, mid-game is something on our radar for sure. There are different things that we are looking at. Feedback is great, and we take the data to see where different elements land. His 2 personal favorite features are ascenders and always on parachutes. Agree. They're awesome. Shaka says, oh, this is a good one. I remember seeing this one. Why design a skate bike park but not code a 100% mountain bike ground loot zone in that area? Or would you pretty please do it in the next update? For those who don't know, there is a skate park. It's on the south east little area of dang, I'm drawing a blank. Whatever the mini Ripton city is on the northwest part of the map. Southeast of that, there's a little skate park with a baseball park. Go there, get the mountain bike, and go do BMX tricks. It's really fun, really fun. They said missed opportunity. We'll see what we can do. Get it in there. Prince says, will we get more cell towers in the center areas of the map? We are looking into feedback to how people are playing. More cell towers is not out of the question. We're looking into adding more vehicles as well. Okay, I had it like, so for a while I was clicking each of these responses to see where the PUBG developers responded. Eventually I just said screw it, and start scrolling through and find them. So bear with me on that. It's just taking way too much time. This map seems to include a lot of not fission chips. Says map seems to include a lot of fun features from battle rail genre, zip lines, parachutes, multi-level combat, new vehicles with hidden loot spots. Were there any features you wanted to add but didn't? What were they, and how would they have altered the map from what it is now? Linception says there are a couple of new features coming soon that may or may not have been spotted in a gameplay video. We've been playing Deston with all these for a while. I'm super excited to see what y'all think when they get added. So I know deployable shields you can put on the ground, MP9. I'm pretty sure a food truck that may or may not be drivable or may or may not be lootable for boosts and stuff. I'm not sure what other features they could be referencing though. I'm interested to know more. Oh wait, here we go. AJ says moving conveyor belts, black zone, and destruction. Wait, is he for real? He might be for real. Yo, moving conveyor belts, black zone, and destruction. Lit. Absolutely lit. Okay. I hope he's being for real. Captain Grant says comeback, AED, self-revive, all that kind of stuff. My question will be more of a surplus on meds and Deston. As we have seen in the past with med issues in Miramar or something you closely monitor. Lynn says, we think meds and Deston are in a really good place. We will monitor and excited for you to get your hands on it on Xbox. I agree. I think meds have been pretty good. I haven't really had any problems. Keck W says, the show is amazing. The houses, underground places, it's all really good. Just need more cars scattered throughout the map and emergency pickup balloons. We initially had some fear of players getting places they shouldn't be with emergency pickup, but now that Deston is live, we can review if adding something like that would be a good fit. As we add more vehicles, we increase the server's load, so there's always a trade-off with adding more. Interesting. Endo says, have you considered allowing drones to have the option to have a few stun flash charges? This could make them a viable option in dealing with people who camp in buildings, similar to Echo's drone on Rainbow Six Siege. That's actually, that, as AJ says, it's a cool idea. It actually is a cool idea. He'll share that with the designers. That would be kind of cheeky if you have the drone fly around and it's like a rechargeable battery. Like you hit it and it flashes the enemy, and like you could be piloting the drone and your teammate could be by the door. Open the door, you send the drone in, boom, flashbang, and your teammate goes in and finishes off the kill. That could be really cool, man. I like that idea. Al Malama says, big fan of the O12 shotgun. Possible to do slugs in other shotguns. Why not the scope? We covered the scope thing. 300-meter range. So we covered that. But the first question, slug shotguns and other guns, or slug rounds. Your first idea sounds very interesting. I'm sure the designers have been thinking about how to use slug ammo now that it's in the game. Okay, so nothing confirmed. Nothing confirmed there. Smokey Desperado, why won't you come to your senses? Says, hello, PUBG team. Congrats on the new map. Incredibly done. They're having a great time. Do you have a specific time of day where you guys are most creative, and how do you keep your creative juices flowing? Interesting question. Lynn says, early in the morning, especially if I'm able to get to the gym before heading into the office, I'm usually amped up and ready to go. What's your favorite pre-workout, Lynn? On the other side, Nick and I generally do daily walks to get energy drinks in the afternoon. I would say that's usually a good pick-me-up. Creatively, I find it much easier to keep the creativity flowing when surrounded by passionate and creative people. Chris says, oh geez, staying creative is a challenge. Really, it's about consuming creativity, watching shows, reading books, playing other games, just any way to recharge your brain with new thoughts. I think for me, early mornings or late at night. Sometimes your best creations come from lack of sleep, like toilet benches. What? Toilet benches? AJ says between 8 and 10 and what's 22? So it's noon at 10 midnight. So he's like early morning or late at night. I'm kind of like a late at night creative kind of guy. I'm not a big morning character. Like if I can get up, like realistically, if I could go to sleep at like say 2 in the morning, but not have to get up until 10 in the morning, like I'm Gucci with that. Obviously having a baby girl now, not a possibility, but I'm good with that. I get more creative as the night goes on, I think. NJK Lammer says, what made you guys add the deployable cell towers, the deployable satellite towers? Personally enjoy them, but don't think they speed you up that much compared to just running the distance. I've had a few people ask this. Chris says they are faster than running, slower than a bike, but not by much. They are really there to help traverse the map in a new and different way. Slower than a mountain bike, I'm guessing he's asking. You know, I'm gonna do a video on this. I'm gonna test this. We're gonna do auto sprint and then parachute. We're gonna see who gets to that location first. And I want to test how far you can really go on the cell tower, like by holding the control key to slow your descent. How far horizontally can you float from the cell tower? I'm gonna test that. Embarrassed Start says, do we have any secret passages in the map? Chris says no real secret passages like Vikindi, but he always enjoy a secret passage, so who knows? Okay. All right, cryptic. Some guy in Dallas, Bud, says, hey, the airboat seems to be pretty successful. Any plans for other map-specific vehicles? Terrain appears to vary greatly over the map. Did you and your people have a particular difficulty in transitioning from one type of ground to the next? Chris says he already answered the location stuff, which we did answer in another question. There wasn't really any difficult transition from another. He used a program called World Machine to make the map. Able to pick out areas and say height or slope. Oh, interesting. He kind of makes it sound like it's a cookie cutter. But no answer on the vehicles though. Okay. Sikaru says, is it possible for the circle to end on the little sliver of land on the bottom left corner of the map, or would the circle algorithm prevent that? Chris says, not sure. Guess is that it wouldn't let it go there. Not 100%. I think it would be, yeah, I don't think it would. I think the land to water ratio would not allow it, but that would be funny. I still haven't had a wind farm circle ending yet. I'd like to see that. Pools, Jackie says, pools next to the house are empty. Maybe stupid question, but gives me such a great vibe, and I really want to swim there. So they might add some water to the pools. Okay. James says, any plans on having a day and night cycle in the game? Currently have different weather patterns, but would love to see it also cycle through. You know, that's actually a pretty cool opinion or option. Interesting idea. Chris says, I was watching Hambino today, and he ironically, this topic came up. He said Hambino hates dynamic weather in BRs. Hates it. It's not like a competitive integrity, I think is kind of the point he was going after. I'm on the other side of it, but I'm also not an ex-pro player, you know, like Ham was. So we're probably thinking two different mindsets. I love the variety of like, oh, it's rainy now, or it's like thunderstorm, or it's sunshine. You know, like I like that change of the feel of the environment myself. Although fog does suck. Fog is fun in concept. Fog is not fun to play in. E-Crate says drone accents point on top of the Ferris wheel is bugged. Yes, it is bugged. They are fixing that. Okay. Mr. Schley says, will we ever get to see what's behind the big door in the tunnel? Secret tunnel. Wait, big door in the tunnel. It's talking about on Lodge? I think there is a locked door in the bottom of Lodge. I wonder, is he talking about that? Shit, now he's got me thinking. Chat, do you know what's going on here? Let me know in the comments if you know what the hell's going on there. If I'm thinking of the right place. Thick Chonk has a few different questions. Let me see if there's something that hasn't been asked before. Release new animations. Are there plans apart from the occasional mo-capped dances? Caleb says animations are being polished as we speak. No drop date. Coming soon though. Okay. We have a new vehicle coming and weapons coming to Deston. A weapon, so MP9 and the police vehicle. Okay. 8x8 is massive, and let's just say I look at each and every part of the map. Too much space without enough time. Okay, try so much look and feel. Okay, nothing game breaking there. All right, what else? I have to look for the responses. This is where I stopped clicking on the little lines to minimize it because it just took so long, guys. There's like I said, 1,200 freaking replies. So I'm just scrolling until I see the PUBG devs reply again. We're gonna be getting close to the end now. Can I just grab this little guy and just, oh shit, as soon as I do it, there it is. Regarding animation, biggest critics facing PUBG is the animation is sluggish and floaty. Question 1, is that by design or limitation? The parachute in Deston is great, but it lacks the agility to lunge off rooftops. We covered question 2. So question 1, animation designs. Whole host of things that affect the character motion feel. We are looking to address some of this in an upcoming animation refresh, but have to be careful not to impact the game pacing. PUBG's slower tactical pace is a specific design choice. Interesting. Okay, so there you go. There you have it. It's not ever going to be a fast-paced game like Call of Duty or Apex, which I think is okay. I'm good with that. Come on. Any more? Stay with me. We're getting about 75-80% through. Oh, why haven't you implemented the use of 2 weapons at the same time yet? God damn it. Escape New ask. Caleb says, what weapons would you want? My first thought is the feel of gunplay would be changed very significantly. It's not an action movie. It's tactical and grounded. Maybe dual wielding pistols. Survivor number 1. Hey, what's up, buddy? He says, I think dual wield pistols would maybe work, or maybe just dual wield sawed-offs would be awesome. Yeah, I don't see any reason why you couldn't dual wield pistols. That's very realistic. You know, maybe you just when you're dual wielding pistols, you can't use meds and shit, or you can't like do other things. You can't pull out a grenade. You have to like it'll put your second pistol away or something. I don't know. That'd be cool though. Dual wielding guns is really fun. Like James Bond, 2 P90s. Panama says, will you introduce? Okay, Carrot got it. Will there be knocks in a vehicle that you tweeted about? The animation refresh is being... Okay, so you didn't actually answer any other questions. Sorry for stopping there. Okay. Oh, here we go. New animation. We already covered that. God, that question is burning, huh? Do people really want new animations that bad? I don't think people are going to see what they want to see with the new animations. Boris again says, new features that were shown in the reveal trailers, cop cars, MP9, even a flash shot of a moving square utility truck. That's the food truck. Is a communication gap occurring? Are these features planned to go live alongside other pulled? Dave says when we do those big trailers, it's for like the whole season. Pillar car, MP9, deployable shield, hell, even some other stuff. It's all coming, just not at map launch. MP9 is ruthless, by the way. Interesting. So again, probably 18.3 or 19.1. Is the map design team aware the air turbines in Deston that are spinning backwards? Oh wait, really spinning backwards? Dave says we're on it. Should be. Oh, so I guess 19.1 is the next upcoming patch. Okay, there you go. Responsibility says PC Milltown Killer. Will there be a variation of the will there ever be a variation of the circle? Two circles that ultimately lead to one another, creating a super 1v1. I think this would be awesome, rad game mode. Oh, whoa. Two big circles. Those players fight down to the death, and those circles slowly close down on each other to form one circle. That's actually a pretty interesting idea. I don't know how that would work from like a plane drop perspective, but that is kind of a cool game mode idea. Marlon says experience of players at level 500 rewarded in some way. Are they going to do better opportunities to get BP and G coins? Okay, Dave says we need something, man. We can't say please stay forever and be like, here's a hard cap, GG. I don't know if that's expanding the cap, maybe a prestige system, but I want to make sure. Yeah, I mean, yes, we need player progression. We need player grinding. That has to come. Has to. I mean, they've made a lot of improvements on that, but nothing that I've really seen that's keeping players like logging in every day, you know? Update on increasing vehicles. We talked about that already. They're looking at it, possibly increasing vehicle spawns on Deston. Got a couple down at the bottom. Do you have a favorite part of the new map? Chris says, for me, it's the western side of the map where it goes from green hills to dried out mountains. That is the cool part. Survivor loves the swamps. Chris says, I think the team, yes. Barcliff is Caleb's favorite. The area doesn't get a ton of heat right away, usually, and has some hot loot if you're lucky enough to find a key card while you're there. Interesting. Barcliff, huh? Okay. Sirius says, great map, a lot of FPS. What country theme? Oh, we talked about that. Texas. Okay, got it. Philo says the shards around the edges and the open windows in Deston, are they meant to block bullets? Is this something you would look into? Is something we're looking? Yeah, that dude, that's crazy that made it into the game. For those who don't know what we're talking about, on the windows that are like kind of broken out, there's little shards of glass on the outside of those windows that actually blocks bullets from going in or out. It's so annoying. It's so game breaking. They got to change it. It's like a little head glitch thing you can do. They have to fix that ASAP. Either get rid of the shards or make it bullets go right through them. How long did it? Okay, we talked about that. It took them about over a year to make the map. Sorry if I'm giving you guys any duplicate questions. I think that's actually it. Yes, that is. Okay. All right. So that is a wrap on the PUBG AMA. If you guys enjoyed the video, my dogs are barking like crazy. My daughter's screaming. I gotta go. Leave this video a like, share with a buddy, get subscribed for more PUBG content, and I will see you guys in the next live stream, twitch.tv/C_Dome. This video is almost an hour long. So sorry, guys. My past videos have been so long. I'll put timestamps down below, or do my best to put enough timestamps down below. Thank y'all for the support. Much love. I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.